Carl here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. And it's 31 days of Halloween, taking us nostalgia goggles off big time in this case, and reliving childhood horror. It is Deadly Friend, or Wes Craven's Deadly Friend, as it's obviously better known as. A movie that I always reflect on with getting a scene wrong. Like, that's crazy, right? Whenever I think of this film and it's what's up my head, I always actually get a scene wrong, and it's where BB's destroyed. For some reason, I always remember that being done to the main girl as well, like, and it being a bloody death. And that obviously doesn't really happen here, so it always comes as a bit of a surprise when I rewatch it and see that it doesn't play out that way. However, I will give them credit. The whole scene where the robot does get wrecked is still harrowing and quite emotional because they did a good job of building up that robot's character and the love that he shares with his creator, even if it's a little over the top. The whole film's concept is absurd, and you pull that thread and it pulls apart. The idea of taking the powered brain chip of a robot, putting it into the skull of a young lady, and that will not only bring her back to life, but give her almost robotic tendencies and a certain level of bloodthirstiness as well to avenge those who have wronged her, one of which of course is her father. And that's the darker tone of the film overall, where she is basically an abuse victim. And I do wish they were a little bit more less heavy-handed with that sort of side of the story, but I think it works in the overall context of the film. What doesn't work is everything else, if I'm honest. No disrespect to the actors, but nobody really takes us that seriously, and when they put effort into trying to do certain things, certain scenes that are supposed to be harrowing, horrible, dark, destructive, it never really kind of hits. Case in point, lead actor, don't know her name, but obviously she plays the main character, and how she does her robot, like, it's very much like that when she walks. They do well with the makeup, and she does well with the kind of glassy-eyed thing, but her movements are really, really silly. Makes her look very, very silly as well. And the events around that kind of don't work either. It kind of turns into like a little bit of a slasher where she kind of hunts like those that have wronged in certain ways. One of them being like the woman who shot up BB in what might be the film's funniest scene. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's probably one of the most memorable scenes of all. I remembered it, but I always remember it looking better. That's the thing. I always remember the scene looking a lot better. Turns out that's where the nostalgia goggles definitely come off. So she throws the basketball with force at the neighbour's head, and it explodes. Her head explodes in a glorious shower of fake blood and guts. Except that's not quite how it looks. It does all of that, except there's a clear transitional cut where obviously they switch out the actor with a dummy with an exploding head, and it is obviously all those things. They didn't even try to get the body shape right. That's how bad it looks. I equally love it, I equally hate it. But I feel that way about Deadly Friend overall, if I'm honest. It is one of those that feels such a product of its time, if not earlier in certain places. The character writing is so similar to things like Fright Night and all of that sort of stuff. And the idea of how the story is so absurd that you couldn't take it seriously in the slightest, but you can also be entertained by it. All of that works for me. I do think it has a problem in that it isn't always the most engaging. It being quite slow on places, and ultimately it sort of peters out at the ending. I kind of think it just goes nowhere, and you've got this sort of fake out dream sequence and stuff like that. There is some good stuff that at the end with that I really like, even if again the effects don't hold up. But credit to the budget, it did the best it can, particularly with this idea of the robot breaking out of her skin near the end in that final dream. That's really, really cool. But I'll give you an example of a really slow moment where the film, this is near the end, when they're waiting for the drugs to take effect with his mother. That scene's like a couple of minutes long when it really didn't need to be. So stuff like that, it was actually around the middle of the film, but stuff like that just doesn't really, I don't understand why that's not trimmed up. It would make the film more enjoyable. But I do think overall it's an enjoyable watch. It's nothing special, and it certainly doesn't hold up like in my head. But then this is one of those I can be fairer on, because I didn't reflect and relive this thinking Deadly Friend was a great movie. I always remember liking it, and that's about where it ended. There's no part of me that was like, oh man, can't wait to watch Deadly Friend again. It's been ages. I love that movie. I went into this going, all right, probably time I watch Deadly Friend. I needed to as well, because there wasn't enough familiar elements in my head to kind of do this video, so I wanted to make sure I rewatched this one fully. But I was not super excited about it. I was more just like, right, job is watch Deadly Friend. Watched it, went, oh, that was pretty cool. That wasn't. This doesn't work. That works, and so on and so forth. Felt very much like I was watching something to review compared to getting passionate about it on this video. It is, yeah, probably, is this the first one of the bunch so far where I've kind of just sort of sat squarely in the middle? Neither really like angry or disgusted by how terrible I think it is now, or really happy with how much it holds up and how much better I think it is. It's just simply, I think this is fine. I think it delivered exactly what I remembered, and I think for the most part, if you've never seen it, you probably won't really care for it. If you've seen it as well, you've probably got a similar vibe to me, which is you've got some memories of it, some fond, some not, and you'll find that it lives up to those expectations. Deadly Friend, oh, Wes Craven's Deadly Friend. What do you reckon? You got any thoughts on this one? You know what to do? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website, where reviews, news, and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.